Hi, good morning. My name is Danita Williams Trigg, and I am the director of A Night of Misfit Films, actor, writer, producer, all of the above. And have to admit that I am a little sleepy this morning.
Good. Hey everyone, this is Gauthier, director of the Lebanese Independent Film Festival and Fantasy Film Festival and co-director of the Night of Misfit Films. And today we're gonna be talking about fashion and film with Eva.
All right. I'm Eva Louis, and I'm going to start off with what they told me to start off with, not you guys, but somebody else.
Oh.
I'm an award-winning filmmaker, and I have a production company called Chronic Behavior. And basically with that company, I do film productions as well as work in the areas of film, fashion, arts, music, and entertainment. And film and fashion are the first two. Those are my dominant areas. So I work with fashion weeks and designers and everybody in the fashion industry, along with everybody in the film industry. So that's what I do. And when I say everybody, I mean it.
Yes, you do. You have your hand, your fingers, your toes, your feet, and everything. I want you to know that.
Yes, I do.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Yes. I can remember, um, uh, I think you telling me, Danita, you get shit done, but I feel the same about you.
Oh, well,
Ava, you get shit done. So,
yeah,
yes.
I appreciate that.
So tell us a little more about what is happening. I know not the 9 to 5 stuff, but just we just completed Phoenix Fashion Week. Tell us a little bit about your role in Phoenix Fashion Week.
Gosh,
I was so happy to be able to attend.
And I'm so glad that you could be part of it. This year was, I think this year was a big sharing year for me with the fashion world, of course, because before COVID, obviously, we already had our teams, we had the things that we did, we had the routines built in place, but this year was super special because this was the first time we were back live in person, outside in a beautiful venue with just upscale environment set up by Phoenix Fashion Week. And I've been working alongside of Phoenix Fashion Week since 2011. And when I launched my company in 2010, and one of the big things was to get involved with Fashion Week or to get involved with the fashion industry. So I connected with the executive director of Phoenix Fashion Week in January of 2011. And we immediately just connected out the gate. He saw something. He always tells me, he's like, I saw something in you because you showed up like super early to events. You were always winning all of our door prizes. Like every event, I would win a door prize. He's like, this is not possible for one person to be able to manifest this stuff. And so we immediately, just hit it off. I did my first big birthday party event with Phoenix Fashion Week at the White House, when there used to be a club called the White House, and it was a red carpet event with bodyguards and entourage. That was how I did it back in 2011. And so if that says anything about how I like to do things, that's everything. And Phoenix Fashion Week at that time was worried my party was going to be bigger than their event when I was doing it with them. And so, like I said, I did something that nobody had done. And Phoenix Fashion Week, Brian Hill, who's the executive director, just like I said, we see a lot of things eye to eye from a business and entrepreneurial perspective. And so we just decided that, I couldn't run with the same type of structure that he has for like people that are just, participating and getting involved. He already knew he wouldn't be able to do that with me. So what he enabled me to do was to be basically like a specialized partner / ambassador / promoter for Phoenix Fashion Week. And so when they even opened their offices later in I think it was 2014 timeframe, they opened their offices, and I was the only partner that was given I didn't get an office, I have to pay for it, but I am the only outside party that technically has an office in their space and has had an office since they've had an office, which to me is really, that says a lot there from a relationship perspective. in that they trust me. And what we've been able to do together is really just create this huge awareness with what Phoenix Fashion Week does with their emerging designers. They have an amazing boot camp program. They have an amazing model boot camp program as well. And so I've dealt now with, I can honestly say, over the 11 years I've been working with them, hundreds of designers. You know, I can almost say, you know, we're almost hitting probably 1,000 models at this point that we've dealt with from literally all over the world, and all done here in Arizona, which is super crazy that we were able to, you know, build that. But he was already on track, and then I just happened to walk in at the right time, basically. But that's the relationship that we have, and I have VIP. I'll just say it, VIP status with them, in that we get to do things that not everybody does. They take really good care of us when we're working with them, but we promote the hell out of them. And that's the relationship, is that we work with them, we promote, we share, you know, they talk to us, we give them advice on what to do for, you know, future events. They ask our input. I mean, you just can't have a better relationship with somebody that actually listens to you and takes to heart what you say, but then they treat you well. So that's what I would say. It's a beautiful working relationship we have.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Phoenix is the 7th largest city in the United States. People don't understand that. And so it's time for Phoenix to be on the map, you know? And I think that, of course, all of us, even though Gauthier is in Paris right now, we all help that. We help put, you know, Phoenix on the map. And so that is, it's exciting. It's exciting and exhausting at the same time.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of work that goes into that, you know what I mean?
I mean,
a lot of work.
We spend months getting ready for that. I mean, they started, I mean, they tried to start it a couple of times, but when we committed to it, it's like full on. I mean, and Danita knows, like, I'm starting way back. The first day tickets go on sale, I'm on that list to get notified in advance before everybody else gets notified. They're sending me notes, hey, we're going to be sending out info. So to be like the first person to be out there with it is great, because I love to be first. I'm not going to lie.
We all do. We all do.
Yes, we all do.
Yeah. Eva, I have a question about, like, how do you work your magic and fashion into movies? And I know I've heard that. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard that you've done a very good, successful, beautiful feature recently.
Oh, yes. Okay. So Life of Consequences is the feature film you're referring to. One of the things that we did really in thinking about that film is, yes, I did help with wardrobe for like our lead characters. That was one of the big things, because we had Paul Costas, who's the main character, Daniel Blanc, actually. And then we had 2 other female leads, and both of them one comes from the fashion industry and one comes from the music industry. But we needed to really play with colors. Colors was a huge thing for our film because of the mood and the storyline. And so Paul, who was really the antagonist, I would say, in the story, it was about him, but he was the negative and the downside of it. He was really in more drab, dull colors, so gray, dark blues, you know, black, things like that. And then the lead character, when we were filming, we actually did a lot of warmer colors with her, brighter, showing more along the lines of the energy that she had. And so we dressed her in more brighter colors, and I worked with her. She even wore some of my fashion stuff, like had a nice fashion, a fur vest that she saw, and she just loved it when I was wearing it. She said, can I wear that? And I'm like, yes. I'm happy to share my clothes when that works out. But yeah, so with her, we played it up, and she actually was in the fashion industry in her role, was part of it. So we used one of the fashion facilities that I had access to. So we incorporated models, and we had designers, and we used that facility, which was already lit up from the standpoint of colors and fashionable items. And every character we really specifically worked with on kind of what was their messaging coming across with their character. And then we, you know, had them dressed to suit what that was. So yeah, so that's how we did it really.
Yeah, cool. Because a lot of people
So,
forget about like how important it is to talk
yes.
about like
Oh, it is
Yeah.
absolutely
like
important.
exactly it supports like the character, the everything
Mhm.
actually changes, like the dynamic
Yeah.
changes between the characters when we
Uh-huh.
cast them well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a little funny story. I remember when, I mean, as an actor, because I also act as well, I've always brought my own wardrobe to set in most cases, because it's been very few times where I've been on sets where I was given wardrobe. So I remember going to one, and this was another feature film that was a very well-known feature film. I came, I had my wardrobe, and but I was just a background extra. I was like nobody, and I brought stuff, and they're like, they literally thought I was a lead actor because I had brought wardrobe. And I was ready to go. I had outfits that they could pick from for me to use, and I was just a background. And I said, so wow. So when you do that, that actually teaches you something. So now I always bring my wardrobe. And I did actually make it into the film. I mean, it was just the backside of me, but I made it in. So
That is wonderful. So when you are writing, so when you're in that
Mhm.
when you're in the process of writing,
Mhm.
your film or your short,
Yeah.
do you immediately go to, okay, what is this character wearing?
No.
Like, what are they going to be wearing?
Yeah, that's not it,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you would think, hey, that's something that's the first thing in my mind, but it's really probably one of the last things that I
Okay.
think about,
Yeah.
because I'll look at wardrobe as an accessory,
Mhm.
right? It is, and accessorizing is absolutely super important. It's how you, because I always consider, for me, I'm painting the canvas when I'm making my film.
Mhm.
So when I'm adding the elements into it, now it's all accessorizing and really stylizing it, right? And making
Mhm.
it what it's supposed to be. And that enriches, to me, the story when you're doing that. And I will say that I have written stuff, but what I end up doing, because I'm not the main writer for a lot of the stuff we have done, Daniel Blunk is. But I love to work with other people's words and their stories. So for me, it's how I visualize and how I, kind of fantasize about how I'd like to see it, is where, from the outside perspective, it's easier for me to do that. I think even on my stuff, I'd probably have a little bit of a hard time just because I have to focus on some different elements of it. So when I
Mhm.
can actually be on the outside and not the writer, then I'll go crazy with, giving ideas and coming up with how looks should be, because I never considered myself literally a stylist or even a fashionista until my
Mhm.
family told me when the Devil Wears Prada movie came out. And they said, that is so you. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I hadn't seen the movie. So when I saw the movie, I said, oh my God, this is so me. And then that was the realization when I
Yeah.
came into, oh
Yeah.
yes, I actually do this. And
Yes.
so it's always been a thing. And I never realized it, because it was just naturally one of those things. And I've been doing this since I was in high school.
Mhm.
So even back then, I was dressing like I was on Fifth Avenue in New York. So
But I think it's important, and you are, yes, you are a fashionista.
Yeah.
It's something that you do, extremely well.
thank you.
I'm gonna have you style me one day.
Oh yes, I would love to. You already know this.
Just difficult,
I
huh?
think that would be fun. Yeah. Huh?
Just difficult and snobby. You know that, right? Yeah, cool. This is really cool. Well, my next question is about your future projects. Do you have any like fashion or film future projects?
Mhm. Well, for me, what we're working on right now is we have a couple of feature films. One's in production and one's in development right now. So the first one is a slice of life film. So of course, with that one, we definitely do have wardrobe elements as part of that. But because it's slice of life, it's actually more, every day. looks and things like that. So it's very, and from the character perspective, one of the characters, again, the lead character is really got the most stylized looks of everybody, because they are very contrasting. So they don't wear things that are matching. They wear contrasting colors that you would never normally wear together, patterns and polka dots, and just things that don't go together at all, which is a reflection of how they look at life. And so so we're playing with some of those elements in that particular film, and that's a lot of fun. And then we have another film that's a mobster film, and that one is going to be totally stylized. So I will definitely be doing some things with that one. And so that's what I'll share with that one, because that one's still under wraps right now. So.
Cool.
That is fantastic.
Yes, I'm super excited, because I think for me, the thing is after we showed the feature film this year, just the response that we got from the audience was so overwhelmingly fabulous. You hope that people will receive your film in the way that you want. And we were just really blessed to have that kind of response. And what's been super exciting is that a lot of the people that we worked with previously everybody's down to do another project. Like everybody, we've had so many people reach out to us from that film that said, look, we would love to continue working with you, and we want to work in your films. And I'm like, this is all that you could ever hope for, is having that kind of response from people that were actually behind the scenes and in the film, and then people that have been peripheral to it. So so I'm excited. It's just motivating, I think, to keep you going forward. And so we have a lot of other little short films that we'll be working on too. I'm delving more into taking advantage of horror in that scenario, and a little bit crazier films. So my storylines are going to be.
You know me. Me. I'm
Oh,
the horror queen.
Yeah, exactly. So there'll be. I like psychological thrillers. That's kind of my big thing, but horror always ties into that somehow. And I dream a lot of storylines, which is really weird, but I have a lot of stories that have just come from my dreams, and so I take advantage of those, because usually those are I really want to push the envelope with a lot of these next ones as we experiment with filming styles and things like that. So
because I think that a lot of people automatically assume that horror is all dark and dark colors and dark moods. And what I love about certain horror films is when they are really bright and colorful, because you're sort of drawn in. Oh, look at that pretty yellow, as someone has blood running down their back on this pretty yellow dress. So I am totally in for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you one other question, unless Gauthier has another one. But how did you deal with COVID? Last 2.5 years, how did you stay creative? How did you keep from how did you take care of your mental health? How did all of that, how did it work for you?
Wow. So for March 16th, 2020 was when we got the word, that everything was getting shut down. We were going to be working from home. And what was super interesting for us is we have a season on our production company on how we do our work. So what we started to do in 2019 was actually plan out our production filming schedule, because in Arizona, you have to deal with the heat. So we said, look, we're going to film from October to March, and then we'll be in post-production mode most of the time. And so that was in advance of knowing that COVID was going to happen. So we had literally finished 3+ projects in filming by the time we got shut down. So the magic there was that we actually had time to edit because we got shut down, which was super weird. And we finished filming literally on the last Saturday or last Friday before everything got where you couldn't even go anywhere, and they had curfews instituted and all that stuff. So we had done 3 short films, and one of them was the comedy film, the Nail Tech Chronicle, which was our comedy that we had to do. And that one again was a total fluke in how that happened. We filmed that in 4.5 hours, had 1 day of planning, literally 1 day of location, and then that was it. I mean, we filmed it and had it done in like 3 days. And so we had those 3 projects. We had basically like a music spoken word video, we had a comedy, and then we had another short 2-person short film that we did. And all of those we were able to edit during the summertime. But of course, I couldn't just not film anything, right? So that we actually did do some other filming. So in 2020, in July, Phoenix Fashion Week actually did a virtual event. And they did their first virtual event across the world, basically. And so I did media coverage of that event, even virtually. So I just, got to watch it live. And then I did a post event interview. So I did that filming. I have some other films, which Danita knows, that have my stuffed animals. I have 2 of my favorite stuffed animals. So Charlie and Bunny are 2 of the lead characters, and they're actually award-winning. I'm not going to lie, they're both award-winning actors now, and they are great to work with. As I told this story several times at many festivals that they've been in, which is super crazy. But Prevailing Promise was their big, acting debut that they came out in, and that film was basically an end of the world film about 2 best friends that came together. And because that was the promise that they made, is that they would be there for each other at the end. And that story, I mean, when we finished editing it, I cried because it had such a strong meaning, but it was also a film that I did during COVID, and basically, wrote the, script from, it was adapted from another screenplay that had been written. And then I filmed it. Again, it was basically 1 day of filming, and then I had to do voiceover. So I actually did the voices as well as the filming and then setting up of the characters. And it was very exciting to put something together with inanimate objects and to bring them to life. And Bunny has like one of the most serious scenes where his expression changes, and we don't even know how we captured that, but it happened in the film. And most of the film festivals that have come back, they use that photo because they say that was like the tipping point in the film, is his expression change. And I'm like, I don't know how we got Bunny to do it, but he did it. And and so that's, again, to be able to be creative, even when you have nothing, literally, you don't have people you can work with, you're by yourself. I mean, I just filmed that in my apartment, so I did not go anywhere. And, we kind of followed all the rules that you had to, which meant literally you couldn't be, going places, having lots of people together. But we managed to film those projects. We even did another one once they started letting people out. We did film a fashion film. Actually, it's called A Fashion Film. And we worked with a designer that had approached us and said she wanted to do something. So she provided for us the models. We put together a location. And what she was doing was sewing fashionable medical wear for the medical workers. And so she had a whole line of the hats and the tops and bottoms and even dresses for nurses and healthcare workers to wear. And so we did a whole little short fashion video for that. And it was great because we did a mockumentary style, actually. So it was like a documentary that they were doing. And it came out really well. And we filmed that in we followed all the COVID safety protocols. We were with the studio that followed all of those. They gave us all the rules. You just have everything done. You follow all the rules and you do it. That's exactly what we did. And we kept it, again, really safe. Everybody wore masks the whole time because that was actually even part of the medical wear. Everybody wore masks. So we were able to film with them on masks and all that. So yeah, we were able to do a lot of stuff. More than you, I think, could probably imagine it was possible. but you just have to be smart about it, I think, and plan it, and not just, you can't do things on a whim, as you know, it just doesn't work out not that well. So but yeah, that was, I think for me, those were the big things that we did during the COVID. And yeah, as far as the mental health and just really dealing with that, you know, you just stay connected to people in whatever way you can. I mean, I think a lot of people were doing Zoom calls just like we're doing right now. Everything went virtual. So you did the video calls, and that was pretty much the big thing, is doing that with people and talking to people regularly, just staying connected as best we can. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Eva, thank you a lot for this beautiful conversation.
Absolutely.
Danita, do you still have anything to ask? Anything?
Just Eva, where can people reach you? Where can they follow you?
So chronicbehavior.com. If you go there, that is the portal to the rest of my world. You can get to everything. I have my podcast linked to that. I have all my social media there. All my social media, like Twitter is Chronic Behavior, Instagram is Chronic Behavior LLC. If you go to Facebook, you'll find Chronic Behavior, or even evalouis.com. You can find all my stuff via those vehicles. And yeah, if you Google search, I come up with Louis Vuitton. So you know, it makes sense a lot.
Yeah.
So yes,
it does make sense.
So yeah, if you get it confused, that's all right. You know, I'm in the house with Louis Vuitton, so that's good.
I don't know very many people that can say that.
Yeah, not very many. Well, they even have a clutch bag that's called Eva.
Wow.
Clutch bag. So I'm gonna get one of those one day. I've not gotten there yet because I'm being very patient, that hoping I'll get one. I'll be given and gifted one, you know, eventually someday. So
yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we want to just thank you so much for you know, for joining us early morning and just being so engaging. You're wonderful. I look forward to working with you.
You guys have done such a wonderful job with the Night of Misfit Films. I love to see all the growth that you have going with the different film festivals, and you know, because obviously film festivals are a big part of my life, and and that, you know, I support them, but not everybody's. Not everybody's, because it's hard to do it, right? To do that for everybody.
Very hard.
But but yours is very similar, you know, to my thought process of how you want to treat people. And that's one thing you guys do a very good job of, is treating your filmmakers very well, the guests that come. And it's always an experience, which is what I love, is having, you know, fabulous experience, especially around film. And now I've gotten to introduce you to the fashion side of the world on that experience. And and I mean, you just see more things coming together on film and fashion. And I mean, there's just so many opportunities. So I'm just happy that we can kind of bring and bridge these worlds now. So
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I stuck my toe in.
Yes, you
I'm
did.
putting my foot in. You know what? It's just a whole new world for me to explore. And I'm excited. Excited about learning new things and meeting new different people. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
And have a wonderful day for both of you.
Yes, wonderful day.
Yeah, you too. I hope
Enjoy your day off.
Yes. All right.